Yeah. This is your boy, Tone DeShields II, and you guys are locked in on your dose of Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. You guys know how we give it up here. You guys know what the assignment is. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the show, especially if you're new or if you're a long-time listener, but you simply just forgot to hit that like button because it happens. You've been listening for a long time. Maybe you forgot to hit the subscribe button. It happens. We're all victims of it. There's so many channels that I can think about that in the past, I watched so many of their videos, so much of their content, and I would forget to hit the like button. I would forget to hit the subscribe button because I'm so caught up in the motion. I'm caught up in limbo, right? But now that I'm a content creator, now that I know what it's like to be on this side of the fence, I'm so keen to, if I'm liking someone's content, I'm so keen to subscribing if I'm constantly going back to the well for more water. So again, make sure you guys are locked in on Chalk It Up Sports. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. Make sure you hit the like button if you like what you hear, if you like what you see. And make sure you guys, after you subscribe, of course, make sure you please hit that notification bell. You guys know what the notification bell does, right? It makes you privy to whenever I go live. Whenever the content gets bubbling, whenever anything pops up on this channel, good, bad, or indifferent, you're going to know about it. You're always going to be made aware of any changes. So make sure you guys continue to stay locked in. I'm always grateful. I love starting the show out with gratitude because without it, we are nothing. Without it, it's so easy to get caught up in the everyday and not really just doubling back and seeing how things become what they are. I'm so grateful for the people. I'm so grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for people like Troll King, Pretty Mimi, Canadian Cat, my man S Blunt, Jules, Cameron Holmes. I'm grateful for you guys. I'm grateful for my Twitter family, everybody holding it down on the X side, on the Twitter side, IBH. I'm always grateful to you guys. You got to start the show with gratitude. I don't care who you are. Spin Bad, what's good? You got to start the show with gratitude. The show is nothing without the people, and I'm fully aware of that. Gratitude, love, passion. That's what this is built off of. And I'm glad that you guys are here. I'm really glad that you guys chose to hang out with me, especially when you guys have so many other options. Benny Boom 68, Michael Dejean. You guys have so many other options. You could be doing anything else. You could be watching anybody else's content, but you're kicking it with me right now at 6:39 p.m. Eastern, 5:39 p.m. Central, 4:39 p.m. Mountain, 3:39 Pacific time. And if you're in Hawaii, it may be 2:39 or maybe 1:39 wherever you are. But regardless, the content doesn't move anywhere without the people. And I'm so glad you're locked in, Benny. I'm so glad you're locked in. And Cameron Holmes, I'm starting to become a Queen and Mitchell fan myself. De La Flo was good. You know, this week has been electric. Yesterday, I had to cancel the show. I had some things come up. I had some things come up on my end, so I needed to move some things around. But today, oh man, today may be the best one yet. We're double dipping today. I have two surprises for you guys. I have two special guests back to back. Shout out to Drake. Back to back like the cover of Lethal Weapon. It's going to be a hell of a show, you guys. And I'm glad you guys are here. So buckle up. Make sure you got your snacks. Make sure you got your drinks, your beverages. Make sure you put the kids away. Make sure you already walk the dog, or you may be listening to me while you walking the dog, whatever it may be. Make sure you guys take care of all of your existential activities because it's time for you guys to focus because the draft is tomorrow night. We came, we saw, and now it's time to conquer. You guys saw the thumbnail. I believe the Philadelphia Eagles are locked and loaded. I believe the Philadelphia Eagles know exactly what they want to do and how they're going to do it. I think the Philadelphia Eagles, now is the time to lock in our thoughts. Tonight's the time. Tonight's the night to lock in our predictions. The Eagles, in my opinion, are locked and loaded. So now it's time for me to lock and load. I think the Eagles are either going to draft a corner or trade for a corner on day one of the draft. That's what I think. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to draft a corner. I think the Eagles are going to trade up, and I think they're going to take the corner they want. As of right now, as we all know, the Philadelphia Eagles are currently sitting in the 22 spot. The rumors have been bubbling about the Philadelphia Eagles searching around for trade partners so they can move up to get their man. But that begs the question, who could it be? Now, in my humble opinion, you're not trading up to get Cooper Dejean. You're not trading up to get Nate Wiggins. You're either trading up to get Quinn Mitchell or Terrion Arnold. That's my guy on his mindset. You don't make a move like that unless you're trying to go for the home run. I like what I've seen from Quinn Mitchell. I like what I've heard from him. Same thing with Terrion Arnold. I think Quinn Mitchell may be the guy. I think that's the guy the Philadelphia Eagles want. Physicality, the size, the confidence. I think that's the guy they want. But I'm locking in my prediction tonight. By the way, our first guest will be here at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Central, 5 p.m. Mountain Time, and 4 p.m. Pacific Time. I'm giving you guys all 4 time zones and maybe 3 p.m. Hawaiian time. I think that's how it works. Or is that 2 p.m.? I can never figure out the time in Hawaii. But I think the Philadelphia Eagles, like I said, I think they have their man in mind. I think they're trading up for Quinn Mitchell. Now, before our guest comes on in a bit, I want to double back and I want to reread Quinn Mitchell's draft profile because I think it's going to be important. And I'm going to get to all your comments. Trust me, I will. I'm going to get to all your comments. But I want to reread Quinn Mitchell's draft profile. Here we are. So Quinn Mitchell, 6 feet, 195 pounds, coming out of Toledo from Williamston, Florida. How do you end up in Toledo from Florida? Nonetheless, they see his role as an outside corner, ran a 4.33 40 time, 195 pounds at the combine, 6 feet, ran a hell of a 40, has the speed, has a hell of a 10-yard split at 1.51 seconds, a hell of a bench press. He's strong. He has the speed, has solid arm length, not astronomical, but he has decent arm length, decent sized hands, decent wingspan, a decent broad jump, a decent height and weight, a good vertical. But that speed and that strength, undeniable. It's funny, coming out of high school, he was a 3-star by ESPN standards, 24/7, a 3-star. Rivals.com, he was a 2-star. He's elevated himself into being arguably the best corner in this draft. It all remains to be seen, but they compare him to guys like Devin Witherspoon out of Illinois, now playing for the Seahawks, Trent McDuffie out of Washington, now playing for the Chiefs, Christian Gonzalez currently playing for the Patriots. But let's read his draft profile, Quinn Mitchell, because I think this is their man. I think this is the guy they want. I think the Eagles are going to trade up for this man. So let's reread his strengths, shall we? Let's get into it. So, according to NFL Draft Buzz, Quinn Mitchell has elite athletic skills. He made Bruce Feldman's freak list at number 46. He wrote, Mitchell bench pressed 225 pounds 21 times, squatted 44, and had a top speed of 23.58 miles per hour on the GPS this summer. He also ran in the 40 in the 4.3s twice for the NFL scouts this spring. Mitchell's teammate, running back Jaquez Stewart, an alumnus of powerhouse Miami Northwest High, who once won state titles in the 100-meter dash and the 4x100-meter relay, also nearly made this list. The 5'10", 180-pound Stewart hit 23.4 miles per hour this summer, but also squatted 550 pounds and did 17 reps at 225. So they're comparing him to a running back as far as strength and speed. Quinn Mitchell displays exceptional field vision and zone coverage, adept at predicting and interrupting the quarterback's strategy, and showcases impressive route recognition, allowing him to react effectively to aerial threats. He's known for his tenacity in tackling, especially against receivers, where he isn't hesitant to engage physically and assert his presence. I love it. Mitchell's ball skills are among the elite. He exudes a natural instinct for the ball, translating into significant pass deflections and interceptions, becoming Toledo's defensive backbone. He carries a versatile skill set, comfortable both in man and zone coverages, though he shows an exceptional aptitude for zone schemes. Sounds like the Eagles fit, where his ability to read the game truly shines. His linear quickness and burst are assets in closing gaps and providing recovery, making him a daunting prospect for opposing quarterbacks and receivers alike. He has the strength to knock the receivers off their route. He has the speed to recover. I think this is their man. I'm locking in my opinion here. I think the Eagles are either going to draft the corner in the first round or they're going to trade for one. Now, here's the thing. If you trade for one, 9 times out of 10, that's going to be a sign and trade. And we're going to get to his weaknesses. Don't get me wrong here, you guys. So his weaknesses. Despite his speed, Mitchell's transitions can sometimes lag, reflecting a hesitance to trust his instincts fully out of breaks, leading to occasional vulnerabilities in coverage. Okay. While effective against receivers, his tackling of running backs in open spaces can be inconsistent, often resorting to shoulder hits rather than secure wrap-ups. I think that happens to every corner when it comes to tackling running backs. His agility and fluidity, particularly when changing direction or responding to intricate routes, have room for improvement. Okay. Potentially impacting his efficiency in man coverage scenarios. All right. While his anticipation and vision are strengths, refining his back pedal and transitional quickness could elevate his ability to disrupt plays and capitalize on interception opportunities. So basically, it sounds like to me that, his instincts can use a little bit of refinement. But again, young player, that comes with experience, that comes with learning the game. But again, I'll say it one more time for those who didn't recognize me or for the guys that just walked into the live stream. I appreciate you guys being here. Make sure you smash that like button on the way in and subscribe. Make sure you hit the like button and subscribe on the way out. But I think Quinn Mitchell is their man. I firmly believe that. And if they can't get their hands on Quinn Mitchell, I think they're going after Terrion Arnold. So pretty Mimi, you're not far off here. I think if Quinn Mitchell is off the table, I think Terrion Arnold is their next best option. Kind of reminds me of the Surtain J.C. Horn situation. Now the question becomes, who's going to stay the healthiest? Who's going to live up to expectations? Because as of right now, J.C. Horn, although he's talented, struggling to stay healthy. Patrick Surtain, super talented, has been pretty healthy. But I do want to keep things in perspective. If the Philadelphia Eagles do decide to trade on draft night for Patrick Surtain, that's going to have to be a sign and trade situation. I believe as of right now, Patrick Surtain, he's entering the final year of his rookie deal. Now, he does have a 5th-year option that will take effect, or whoever has him on the roster, they will pick it up for the 2025 season. But for the 2024 season, that's the last year of his rookie deal, not including the 5th-year option. Whoever has him 9 times out of 10 will pick up the 5th-year option. Now, here's the thing about Denver. If they pick up that 5th-year option, they're going to owe him $19.8 million. I'm going to say that again for the kids in the back. If the Broncos decide to keep Patrick Surtain and not trade him, they're going to have him this season, right? They're going to have him under contract this season with a $6.669 million cap hit. But in 2025, they're going to have to decide to pick up that 5th-year option. And if they do, they're going to owe him $19.8 million. And that's going to count against the cap. The Broncos, in my opinion, are not in a situation where they can just pay guys willy-nilly. Remember, they decided to move on from Russell Wilson, and they owe him a lot of money. So is it plausible to believe that the Broncos could potentially move on from Surtain because they simply just don't want to pay the money. Is that reasonable to believe? Because I don't think they want to pay the money. I don't think the Broncos want to pay Patrick Surtain. My man S. Blunt in the building with the $1.99 donation. Thank you, my friend. I really appreciate it. He says, highly interested. Any concern playing at Toledo? I have my concerns. I'll admit that. I definitely have my concerns with him playing at Toledo. But then I said to myself, well, Sauce Gardner played at Cincinnati. And Cincinnati's competition isn't the greatest. And I don't mean any disrespect, but he came out of Cincinnati. And he did what he did. And then Sauce Gardner is one of one. And I'm not trying to compare the two players, but I'm just trying to indicate that sometimes the school you go to can be a bit overrated. It can be. It can be. But this kid is viewed as the top cornerback prospect for a reason. And I don't want to ignore that because of the school he went to. Again, Sauce Gardner, Cincinnati, not the greatest of competition, yet he became what he became. Quinion Mitchell, I like the size, I like the speed, I like the power, the strength that he has. I like the physicality he plays with. But I do understand the angle, S. Blunt. It's not something you should ignore, but I think it's something that we probably shouldn't hang our hat on too much or too often. I don't care. Ultimately, I don't care where you play. How effective were you? How dominant were you? Apparently, he was the backbone of that defense. He was their best player, definitively. So I wouldn't mind taking a shot on Quinion Mitchell. I mean, look, here's the thing, right? If you draft the top corner in the draft, can you get mad at the Philadelphia Eagles for making the move? I can't. Not at all. So thank you, S. Blunt, for donating to the channel. But I think two things happen, or one of two things happen. I think the Eagles, if the Eagles can't, and again, this is if they can, if the Eagles can trade up, they're going to get Quinion Mitchell. If they see an opportunity to get Patrick Surtain, they're going to do that. But then they're going to have to decide if they want to pay him. And he's going to be looking for top dollar at the position. The Eagles just got finished paying Jordan Mailata, Devontae Smith, Landon Dickerson. The Jalen Hurts contract is obviously still in full effect. A.J. Brown, his contract is in full effect. So you got to keep all that stuff in mind. You just paid Saquon Barkley, CJ GJ, all that stuff matters. Now, if they do go cornerback, regardless of how they get him, if they go corner, James Bradbury's getting cut post June 1st. I was talking to my man John McMullen, and he was indicating that there's no major loss on the cap by moving on from James Bradbury. There's no major loss there. Financially, of course. Here's another thing that we need to think about. Although the Philadelphia Eagles are rumored to want to trade up, someone's going to have to make the deal with them. Someone's going to need to have to agree. Someone's going to need to agree to the terms. So although we think they will trade up, although we think if they do, they're going to get their cornerback, I also think if they can't trade up, if the conversations or if the negotiations go sour, I do also believe that if they have to stay at 22, I think they go O-lineman. I know that's not what a lot of you guys want to hear. I understand that. But follow my trajectory here. If they can trade up, I think they go corner. If they can't trade up, if they can't, there's a chance they go O-lineman. Or they trade the 22 overall pick and package it in a way to get Surtain. So there's some options there. But keep in mind, if they can't get their man, if all negotiations go sour, I think they go O-lineman. That's my perspective. But our first guest, slowly but surely, will be here in a few minutes. And I'm super excited to talk to this person. Because I can't wait to get his perspective when it comes to the draft. Because he knows the Philadelphia Eagles in and out. And I can't wait to have a conversation with him. But again, I'll reiterate, if for anybody that just hopped into the live stream, thank you guys so much for being here. Make sure you guys smash that like button. Make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel. I think the Philadelphia Eagles know who they want. I think they're locked and loaded. I think their mind is made up. And now it's a matter of the chips falling where they may. Michael Dejean says, Tone, would you draft Brock Bowers? No. No, I would not. I would not. Nothing against the player. I just don't think that's a move you make. Chin says O-line at 22 is fine. Trading up for O-line is not. Agreed. I agree with you. I don't think the Philadelphia Eagles need to trade for O-lineman ever. Excuse me. Pretty Mimi says, Tone, did you watch last year's Iron Bowl? Did you see that pick six that Terrion Arnold caught? Sure, they called it back, but he's clutch. I didn't see it, but I heard about it. And Mimi, I think Terrion Arnold is going to be a great player as well. I think the Eagles are either going to target Quinion Mitchell or Terrion Arnold. I think that's their angle. They're aiming for one of the two players. And if they can't trade up to where they want to get that player, then they're going to go O-lineman at 22. Or they may package it. They may package the 22nd overall pick to get Patrick Surtain. You never know. But I like both of the corners, actually. I like Terrion Arnold. I like Quinion Mitchell. Jerry Rizzle says, Quinion Mitchell, gold jacket. Ooh, slow down, player. Slow down. He got to get his helmet first. Got to slow down. Candy McDaniel says nobody was even talking about Mitchell until he showed up at the Senior Bowl. Wonder why that is. Interesting, Candy. Very interesting. But something or someone, rather, who I find more interesting than the Senior Bowl is this prized gentleman here. Now, I want to make sure I do this right. I told you guys I have something special planned for you guys. We're double dipping today. But first, I got to start with the man with the plan. I got to start with the brother who has over 40 years. I'll say that again. Over 40 years of experience in the sports media industry. Let's go through the resume real quick. Former sports director at KECC CBS TV in San Diego. Former sports anchor and reporter for Canyon SD NBC TV in San Diego. WITI CBS TV in Milwaukee. WPXI NBC in Pittsburgh. He spent 23 years at Comcast Sports Network and NBC Sports Philadelphia, covering your Philadelphia Eagles. You've also heard him and seen him on 97.5 The Fanatic and Jacob Sports. He's also the owner and the host of the Gun on One podcast, a true man of faith and the definition of what it means to be a family man, the honorable, the blessed, and highly favored. Need I say more? Derrick Gunn, my brother. It is an honor. It is a blessing to be here with you this evening. How are you feeling today, sir?
Look, man, I got jacked up. I started sweating profusely just listening to you introduce me, and I know all the information you were spitting out. I'm still getting jacked up. You know what? You should be a WWE ring host. That's what you should be.
They should have called me for WrestleMania 40, man. I heard it was popping down there. Tell me about it.
Hey, look, you make a lot more money doing that than what we do, right?
Well, guess what? Let's get ready to rumble because we got a lot to talk about, D Gun.
Yeah,
we got a lot to talk about, and obviously it's been a little bit since you and I spoke, in this space. So first and foremost, before we get too deep into the content, too deep into the content, rather, how are you? How's the family doing? Just give me the quick rundown how everything flowing with you at home.
We're doing, man. We're blessed, man. You know my wife's situation.
Yes, sir.
She had a stroke back in November. It's been a long road, but man, she's making some significant gains now. Still has a ways to go. I can't thank a lot of friends, family, and my kids in particular enough for the way they rolled up their sleeves and jumped in and helped out. She's doing outpatient. Thank you, Nick, the OG. I appreciate you, Nick. Jerome, good to see you, brother. But God is good, and He's taking control of the situation, and we're making it, bro. We're making it.
That's good to hear. At the end of the day, all you can do is continue to take one step forward every single day. Man. Stay prayed up, stay close.
Absolutely.
And understand, and every day is going to be a different one.
Hey, look, man, be a different one. I tell people all the time, walk by faith, not by sight.
Yes, sir.
Walk by faith, not by sight. And people out there who believe in the God that I serve, they know what I'm talking about. They know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely. So let's get right into it, right? Me and you have exchanged the pleasantries enough. Let's get right into it.
Yeah, enough of this nice stuff, man. Enough of this stuff.
I love you, man. It's all love, man. It's love. What's life without it?
Likewise, brother. Yeah.
So let's get into this draft, man. What are we? A little over 24 hours away from the draft. And so many rumors have come out about the Philadelphia Eagles potentially moving up for the player they want. We've heard rumors about them going for a corner. We've heard rumors about them maybe staying pat at 22 to get an offensive lineman.
Right.
Let me ask you this, right? What's your overall perspective of the Philadelphia Eagles situation as it correlates to the NFL draft?
I would be surprised, first of all, if Howie stands still. Howie gets that itch. And 22 might not be the spot where he wants to get a certain player. We've heard so, and this is what I love about the pre-draft hype and all of these mock drafts, is that the Eagles have allegedly, from all the mock drafts I've seen, they're taking like 12 different players in the first round.
Right.
Now, here's what I will tell you from what I know from talking to people on the inside. The Eagles want to use their early picks to get some players that can step in and play now, whatever the position may be. But they want a player or two that can step in and play now. Now, people, a number of people are saying the Eagles may go offensive tackle. They've done that in the past when they think certain people like, Lane Johnson. Lane Johnson has said he wants to play 2 more years. So what have the Eagles done? They've drafted the heir apparent 2 years in advance to let him groom under a guy like Lane Johnson. They draft Cam Jurgens 2 years in advance to Jason Kelce, finally announcing his retirement. So they're known for that. But let's face it, they still need help on defense. Okay, they made some good offseason moves. People get caught up in Zach Bond, linebacker, Devin White, linebacker. We don't know what they have left in the tank. Okay, James Bradbury, out on an island, man. I'm not sitting here right now saying that he's going to be your starting cornerback when they drop the ball in 2024. There's some good young corners on the draft. I think they have a couple of good young corners already in the fold on this team. It's just a matter of playing them. I like Mario Goodrich. I like these guys. I like Eli Riggs, Keely Ringo, Isaiah Rodgers has finally been cleared. I like the talent pool of young talent that the Eagles have that could possibly step in and unseat James Bradbury. Go back a couple of years, and I've talked about this a number of times. Look at what the Kansas City Chiefs did the year they beat the Eagles in 2022, okay? They played a bunch of kids on the back end of that defense to start the season. And it was rough going for a while for the kids. It was like the Keystone Cops back there. They had to learn by trial and error. But, Steve Spagnuolo, Andy Reid, they trusted the process, okay? By December, sprinkled in with a few vets, that back end of the Chiefs defense gelled, okay? Now, if the Eagles are looking for another quick fix in the back end, you can't keep drafting young DBs and letting them sit on the bench, and all of a sudden, when it gets around to year 3 and year 4, they're gone somewhere else, okay? You've got to let these young kids develop. Now, by saying that, the offense is structured to where the offense right now can easily score 25 to 28 points a game, which is good enough to win most games in the National Football League, okay? Now, the defense, still has some holes to fill. He's got a picket fence mentality right now. And they can do that. But you've got to let some of these kids step up and grow in Vic Fangio's system.
It's funny because you said something interesting. The fact that it's highly unlikely that Howie Roseman and the Eagles just stay at 22, right?
Right.
In the past 5 drafts, they've moved up to get their man 4 out of the past 5 drafts. That's not a coincidence. Right. I think this is the most interesting part about it, though, right? They're going to have to evaluate how they want to approach this, not only in the now, but also in the long term. Because you said something also that was pretty interesting. They want a player that they want a player, especially on defense, that can come in and make an immediate impact, right? So that begs the question: does that set the stage for a potential first day draft night trade? Maybe, and we've heard rumors about Patrick Surtain, and we still don't know what that is. We don't know how much stock to put into that, right? But we do know the Broncos are in a precarious situation financially after cutting Russell Wilson. And Patrick Surtain, he's entering the 4th year of his contract. Next year, he had the 5th year option. If they pick the 5th year option up, he'll be due $19 million. I don't know if the Broncos are ready to pick that money up and then extend him on top of that. So that may leave a window open for the Eagles to trade for a guy like Surtain. But the Eagles also have to weigh they're weighing options. Do we trade for the proven guy and then trade for him, then extend him? Or do we trade up, take a chance on a guy like Quinion Mitchell or Terrion Arnold? How do you think the Philadelphia Eagles balance those two competing ideologies, right? Going for the proven product versus going for the young guy. Like you said, at some point, you got to let him play.
When you look at the moves they've made this offseason, it's still incredible how much money they still have under the cap to play with. If they went out and got a Patrick Surtain, what I don't want to see them do is, like they do with a lot of veteran DBs, bring them in as a 1-year fix and then let them walk. If you bring in a cornerback the caliber of a Patrick Surtain, you automatically have to have the mindset that we want to sign an extension with this young man. You have to. That he's just that good. He's one of the few cornerbacks out there I would put on that pedestal of I want to keep him long term, not just a quick fix. But Howie has this sometimes mentality of we are in the here and now. We got what we need here. We have what we need over here. I just need to plug a hole right here for this season to see if we can get to the finish line and finish what we didn't finish a couple of years ago. You don't do that with the Patrick Surtain, okay? But like I said earlier in our conversation, there's some good young corners out there. You talked about Quinion Mitchell. I love that kid. I also like Cooper Dejean as well. Now, if the Eagles get that itch, because there's a talk that 5 quarterbacks could go in the first round this year. And I'm so glad the Eagles are not looking for a quarterback. When you look at the history of the quarterback being selected in the first round of the National Football League, 44% end up being bust. That's a big number. Only 1% end up being great or Hall of Fame caliber. 1%. Think about that. Quarterbacks drafted in the first round, only 1% end up being Hall of Fame caliber. Only about 14% end up being great. And then you have that 44% that are bust. I'm glad they're not drafting a quarterback. But there is a need for a cornerback. And like I said, you have some good young kids in the house already. But if you go out and get another cornerback, you have to plug and play him now, which means those other young men already in the fold are going to automatically take a back seat. You're not going to take a corner in the first round this year and have him. And I don't care what Howie and Nick tell you. Yes, he's going to go out and compete. No, he's not. No, he's not. You take a cornerback in the first round this year, he's going to start. He's going to push James Bradbury. If he doesn't start the first game, it'll only be a matter of time before he unseats Bradbury a couple of games into the season, especially if Bradbury shows once again that he has lost what the Eagles thought he had when they got him here from the Giants. So I think they're going to go cornerback or edge rusher. They do need an edge rusher. But I'm leaning more towards cornerback than edge rusher.
It's funny. That's kind of where I am too. I think the Eagles, if they think they can trade up to get their man, I think they're going corner. Right. But if they can't move up, if they're forced to stay at 22, I actually think they may go old lineman because I think that's safe for them.
It is.
So, what's your perspective on the old lineman draft class? Are there any offensive linemen that you've heard through the grapevine that the Philadelphia Eagles are kind of lean towards if it ever comes to that?
No, because Stoughton University, I'm sure he has a plethora. They have a lot of faith in Jeff Stoughton. If the Eagles sit there at 22 and let's say 6 players slip through their grasp because they've been drafted earlier, they may take the safe bet. In terms of particular names, no. I have not heard any particular names out there. and the top 2 or 3 offensive linemen or offensive tackles, they're going to be gone before the Eagles get to 22 anyway, you know. So now they're looking for the best available offensive lineman. And let's face it, if you get offensive lineman number 6 or number 7, so-called, on the power ranking, and you're putting him in Jeff Stoutland University, the chances are that young man is going to end up being a Pro Bowler. The chances are he's going to end up being a Pro Bowler. It's just that pick has to sit and wait a couple of years. You just gave Jordan Mailata a big contract, $66 million this offseason. Lane Johnson, a perennial Pro Bowler and possibly should be a future Hall of Famer, is not going anywhere for the next couple of years unless he has some kind of devastating injury. Knock on wood, that doesn't happen, because Lane is a phenomenal talent. So what do? Tyler Steen, you're not plugging him at guard. You have your guard positions.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're not plugging him. You have your center position already locked down. So you're going to let this young man sit for a couple of seasons? Eagles the Eagles have been known to do that. To me, that's a wasted pick for the here and now, because there will still be some good players left on that board at 22 that you could stick in. Again, let's go back to the edge rushers. You know, you got Jared Verse from Florida State. You know, you got Chop Robinson out of Penn State. Latu from UCLA. Everybody's high on this young man as well. So you have some edge rushers that can bring it. You let Hassan Reddick go, and I still think that was a mistake to let him go, especially when Fletcher Cox is gone as well. So 2/4 of your force in the trenches is gone. You know, Brandon Graham may play 10, 15 snaps a game. Josh Sweat, what he did in 2022, he was nowhere near that in 2023. You know, he got lost, let's say get lost in the system in the latter part of the season. He was in the witness protection program. We don't know what we're going to get from Josh Sweat in 2024. You know, there was so much, you know, they told Josh, hey, go out and see if you can get a better deal. That's what the Eagles thought of Josh. Go out and see if you can get a better deal. Same thing they told Hassan Reddick. Go out and see if you can get a better deal. And they end up trading Reddick. Obviously, they're not going to just trade Josh. They know what they need. They know they need that pressure. Right now, if you look at their defensive line, are you comfortable with what's along that defensive front right now? Okay, you got Jalen Carter. What happened to him? Started out, people talking about rookie of the year, defensive lineman rookie of the year.
Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden, latter half of the season, tell them what were they saying? Where is he? You know, Jordan Davis, 2 years in a row now. We're still waiting for the emergence of Jordan Davis. Can you sit here right now and say that you are comfortable beyond a shadow of a doubt with what the Eagles have in the trenches right now?
No, okay? I can't.
So that's
and
why you can't
put a good point.
You cannot take an edge rusher out of the realm of reality for this team. There's no way.
Let's stay there. You know, you broached it. Hassan Reddick. You know, I've been asking a lot of people what their perspective about how the Philadelphia Eagles handled that situation, you know, how they handled it, and did they negotiate with him in good faith and things of that nature, right? I want to get your perspective because you sent out a tweet a while back that kind of had everybody buzzing, you know, in regards to where they currently were in the negotiations. I'm curious.
Have people buzzing? No, I wouldn't do that.
Oh, no. Come on, Gunner, you stay shooting from the hip, no pun intended. But nonetheless, though, I got to ask you, you know, all jokes aside, my friend, what was your perspective about how the Philadelphia Eagles handled that Hassan Reddick situation? You already admitted that you believe that it was a mistake. Can you dive deeper into that perspective?
When you have a guy who has been a double-digit sack master for consecutive years for 3 different teams, okay, what deficiency does he have? Okay, maybe you can't drop him back in coverage. Okay, he's a liability there. Maybe he's not the best in run support. But everybody's looking for an edge rusher. In today's game, you need exceptional edge rushers to put heat on a quarterback. Take him off that mental clock of 1001, 1002, 1003, waiting for a certain target to free up. You've got to make him take his eyes off of what he's looking at downfield. Where's Hassan Reddick at all times? The Eagles, I think, should have paid him. They didn't want to pay him. Now, when they let him go, I'm thinking, okay, there's somebody out there that they're really looking at. But it didn't happen, did it? Wasn't in free agency. So anybody who was considered elite in free agency is already gobbled up. You know, any move you might want to make for a dominant edge rusher, now you got to make a trade for if you want to. Or you're going to have to draft him and let him groom himself and blossom into a dominant edge rusher. and that may take half a season before he gets to that level. It may not happen at all. He may come out of the gates and be the next J.J. Watt or somebody like that. J.J. Watt hit the ground running, never looked back until injury started to take his toll on him in the latter part of his career. Who knows? We don't know. That's why we say the draft is such a crapshoot. I don't get hyped for the draft. Like so many man, the draft is the biggest hype machine in America right now.
It's the NFL. Come on, you're gonna do that. It's the NFL. The NFL has found a way to monopolize the 365-day-a-year calendar. They are masters at it.
I give the NFL kudos, major kudos, for being what they are. The biggest sports conglomerate, the wealthiest sports conglomerate on the planet. Their marketing strategy is through the roof, above, head and shoulders above anybody else. They are a money-making machine. But I'm from an individual perspective, I don't get jacked for the draft like everybody else. And I love watching all the comments when a team that you watch closely and you put out there on social media, they're going to take this player because and all of a sudden they take instead of taking player X, they take player Y. All of a sudden people's lives are destroyed. See, it's like when training camp opens. I don't get jacked up about training camp. You don't see me tweeting, oh, so-and-so made the most acrobatic catch known to mankind in training camp because it's a controlled environment, okay? Let me make the same kind of catches when the bullets are flying for real. I keep it even keel. That's what I do. I like to sit back and see because after the first few picks in the draft, Tone, nothing makes sense. They're going to be wheeling and dealing. Player you thought was going to go 3, 4, 5, 6, not going to happen, okay? And I just sit back. People lose their minds that their draft boards are all whacked now because after the first 4 or 5 picks, you can't make heads or tails out of what happened. So I love the draft. I watch the draft religiously. I give my opinions, as I will tomorrow night. But I don't get jacked up the way a lot of people do about the draft.
I mean, we're at a point now where sports books are quite literally taking bets, when it comes to which team takes which players, so on and so forth. But, when it comes to the draft, I think what makes it so exciting is because teams that probably were in purgatory or maybe even below that, they see it as the highest level of optimism that you can have as a sports fan, especially when it comes to the NFL, right? Can this player shift the fortunes of our organization, right? Can this player change our culture? And I think that's really what it's rooted in, especially from the fan perspective.
Yeah, absolutely. The NFL created this monster. Absolutely. They know what they were doing. And think about this. Go back maybe 10 years ago, 12 years ago. The NFL was adamant. They wanted nothing to do with Las Vegas and betting, right? And all of a sudden, somebody somewhere behind the closed doors of the NFL structure said, hey, man, we better jump on this. Look at the money that's being generated. The gambling is legitimately is over a $200 billion a year industry. Get this. Illegal gambling is well over $120 billion industry. So think about that. $120 billion industry that's betting illegally and a $200 billion industry total. Think about that. So what did the NFL do? All of a sudden they hop on board. DraftKings, all these different draft sites. And oh, by the way, let's put an NFL team in Vegas now. See, the mindset changed quickly because they saw the dollars. Okay, so that's why I give the NFL kudos, man, for being able to eventually stay mainstream in terms of how to make money, how to keep fans interested. And you're right. And I said this time and time again, something you said a little earlier. The NFL years ago found a way to make the NFL relevant 365 days a year. Wasn't like that, bro, when I broke into the business, man. When football season, before I broke into business, when football season was over, it was over. Everybody went their own way. You got a story here or there, the good humor story, the Good Samaritan story. Players come back occasionally, do community things. Not now. You've got off season, free agency. You've got the mini camps, non-mandatory camps. You got the draft, and you have mandatory camps that carry through early part of June, and then all of a sudden July rolls around, camp is here. Then you got preseason, and boom, just it's a 365 day a year business now. And for people like you and me, it's a great thing because it wasn't always like that.
Absolutely. Staying on the off season, right? Because again, like the off season, like you just said, it's almost as entertaining as the regular season when it comes to the wheeling and dealing of some of these contracts and the players going from team A to team B. But let's just let's recap kind of what the Eagles did, right? Saquon Barkley, 3-year deal. Bryce Huff, edge rusher from the Jets, 3-year deal. CJ comes back on the 3-year deal. Devin White, you mentioned. They cut Avonte Maddox, then brought him back on a team-friendly 1-year deal. They added to the wide receiver room with Devontae Parker, Paris Campbell. We talked about Zach Bond, throwing Oren Burks at linebacker, Tyler Hall at corner. They brought in a lot of bodies to supplement that roster. I want to get your overall opinion about the Philadelphia Eagles and how they made moves throughout free agency and just the overall offseason. Players that have come in and players that have left.
It tells you that Howie, again, is his ultimate goal is to try to bring that brass ring, that Lombardi trophy back to Philadelphia. And look at the abundance of moves that he made this offseason and still has so much cap space available. I think Howie Roseman is one of the top 2-3 GMs in the National Football League. No question about it. I think he's the best in terms of handling the cap and strategizing the cap. A lot of the players you mentioned, I put them in a category of let's see what they have left in the tank. I was a big fan of Devontae Parker when he was down in Miami. All of a sudden, they let him go. He's in New England. Okay, look what happened. Obviously, Mac Jones throwing him the football. That didn't help. I want to see what he has left in the tank. I want to see what Paris Campbell has left. I want to see what Zach Bond, Devin White. I want to see what they have left. I'm very intrigued by the young man Isaiah Rodgers to see what he's bringing to the table. The two moves that I really like, obviously Saquon is at the top of the list, and CJ coming back is my second one. I love the way he plays. He plays with reckless abandon. He's not the biggest guy out there, but he can run, he can cover, and he will stick. That's something that was lacking on the back end of that defense. Now, Blankenship, he can hit, but Blankenship lacks that speed. There's no guarantee that Blankenship is going to be a starter when the dust settles at the end of training camp. But I know CJ is, as long as he doesn't get hurt. He brings a certain nastiness, tenacity, and swag to the back end of that defense that was lacking. And when you have a couple of corners like Bradbury, like Slay, that are not the greatest tacklers in the world, you need somebody back there to stabilize the back end of that defense, and I think CJ does that for them. Saquon finally gets to run behind a legitimate offensive line in the National Football League. But not only that, they want to throw the football. Kellen Moore wants to throw the football to his running backs. And look at how many passes out of the backfield Barkley caught out of New York. So I expect him to be utilized just as much as a pass catcher. And oh, by the way, he can block as well. So you got the three-tier, you got the perfect Bermuda Triangle when you brought in a Saquon Barkley. Okay, I love that move. Now let's see what he can do behind his team. I always talk about, I want to see running backs in today's game. If you get 18 touches in a game, you're doing good. I want to see this young man get at least 25 touches a game. Not all rushing touches, but touches, period, across the board, because he is such a dynamic player. I'll never forget the latter part of Malcolm Jenkins' tenure here in Philadelphia. They're playing the Giants, and Malcolm has a square up on Saquon down the sideline. It was inside the 20-yard line, and Saquon just kind of bounced off of him. And after the game, Malcolm said, that dude has some of the biggest thighs I've ever seen in my life. You can't get your hands around. So think about that. And you look at him when he's doing weightlifting and stuff. That man's lower half is incredible. Okay? So you bring that power with that speed and his ability to make people miss as well. My goodness, add him to what they already have in the offensive arsenal with A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, the newly paid Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. Who do you stop in that offense? The key is, will Jalen Hurts be Jalen Hurts of 2022 or 23? That's the key. That's the big question that we all should be asking from now until the time the ball drops in September.
You said a lot there, and, let's stay on the ladder. Jalen Hurts. They've given him everything. Let's just call it what it is. He has 2 bona fide wide receivers. He has a tight end as long as he stays healthy. He has the offensive line. He now has a legitimate running back. Now he has also Kellen Moore in the building. We have to see how that marriage still works out, right? We still got to see what Cam Jurgens and also what that right guard spot looks like. We still got some things that we still don't really know too much about. But overall, when you look at that offense, you say to yourself, oh, this man should thrive in this. So I want to get your perspective, right, on the Jalen Hurts situation. Obviously, he came off of a down year last year, but the 2022 season was obviously his best season. The 2021 season was more of a grooming, filling out process, his first year starting. I want to know from you, How do you evaluate Jalen Hurts from this point forward? What are you going to be looking for?
Good question. The Jalen Hurts of 2022, and I'm going to put it out there, is debated, and if people can like it or not. The Jalen Hurts of 2022 played against a plethora of inferior teams. The Jalen Hurts of 2023, after the teams had a year's worth of film to figure him out, look at the defensive coordinators Jalen Hurts faced in 2023. Much better caliber of defensive coordinators, and it got to him. Somebody figured out Jalen Hurts somewhere. Now, how did the Eagles counter? They go out and get an offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, who knows how to stretch a defense. Can Kellen Moore's offense, coupled with Nick Sirianni's offense, be the missing link to getting Jalen Hurts back to where we hope he should be? You pay a young man $250 million, you expect great things out of them, okay? And that Jalen Hurts knows that pressure comes with that money. He understands that. That's a mature young man to be 25 years old, okay? He's a light years ahead of a lot of 25-year-olds in terms of maturation. Now you got to do it on the field. Now you have to do it on the field. I guarantee you, Kellen Moore and Nick Sirianni behind closed doors, formulating their offensive minds. How do we streamline our offenses together to play to Jalen's strengths? I don't want to see the Jalen running the ball 15 times a game. I don't want to see that anymore, because basically you're putting your quarterback in harm's way. I don't want to see that. There are going to be times he's going to have to scramble out of necessity, and they're going to have designed run plays for Jalen. That's okay. But keep them well below 10 a game. I don't want to see it averaging 12, 15 a game, okay? Kellen Moore likes to throw the football. Put the ball up. Who better to be in a situation to throw the football, whether it's to wide receivers, tight end, or running back out of the backfield, than Jalen Hurts in 2024. Look across the National Football League. The Eagles have arguably the best collection of weapons in the National Football League going into this new season.
What was your perspective about the Devontae Smith contract? A lot of people, well, some people say, oh, wow, the Eagles got him at a bargain. Some people say, oh, wow, Devontae, you should have held out for more. You know, you hear so many different perspectives about another man's money. I want to get your perspective on how the Philadelphia Eagles did business with that contract, and overall how Devontae Smith negotiated and ultimately settled for what he got.
Typical Howie Roseman move when they identify young players that they really like, they go after them to make sure that they don't get out of the fold. From Devontae Smith's camp perspective, I'm a little surprised they jumped at it instead of waiting to see what some other receivers are going to get. I was shocked that he was the first one out there to jump at the numbers, because when you start hearing about the Justin Jeffersons and some of these other guys, now I'm not comparing him to Justin Jefferson, but I'm also saying he is an exceptional wide receiver. So when it starts coming out, some of these other wide receivers, some of the numbers they're going to get between now and maybe before this year is over, you may look at Devontae Smith's contract and we might be sitting here talking about, man, he's underpaid. You know, if he has another 1,000-yard season, man, he's underpaid.
Wow.
If he has a 1,000-yard season in this offense, with A.J. Brown being the primary receiver, Dallas Goedert got to get his touches, and Saquon's got to get his touches, and the Eagles paid him what they paid him, Howie Roseman's got to sit back and smoke a cigar and pat himself on the back saying, we got him at the right time before numbers really blew up. Plain and simple.
Yeah, for sure. A couple more for you, D-Gun, before I get you out of here, man. Once again, I really appreciate the time that you've allotted me, man. There's always
you Tone, for you, baby.
Yes. Hey, well, listen, man. I try to be a good guy. I try. Let's talk about the other wide receiver in Philadelphia, A.J. Brown. Obviously, he's made his name well known in the news again. I think that was about last week or 2 weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken. But irregardless, he changed his profile picture to Tom Brady, and the world went up in flames. So I want to get your perspective about how you digested that entire debacle happening between him, the fans, the media. Just break down how you process that situation, and are you buying any sort of trade rumors that may or may not exist?
A.J. Brown's not going anywhere. Not going anywhere in 2024. So we can stop all this, nonsense. Unless somebody offered the Eagles 3 first-round picks for an A.J. Brown, then I said I'll make that move in a minute, okay? But that's not going to happen. A.J. Brown is not going anywhere, okay? A.J. Brown is a very smart young man, very likable young man. I don't know him. I'm just telling you what I know of him through my contacts and stuff within the organization. Everybody in the building loves him, Okay, but when you put that out there, he knew what he was doing.
Of course.
He knew what he was doing. Okay, why would you see? He had just gone on radio and told people on radio, "I want to be here," and then cut it short and said, "Next question." Why? What, you can elaborate a little bit more on why you want to be here, why you like being here. So you put that out, you put that subliminal message out there, and then you go and change your picture and put Tom Brady out there. I grew up as a New England Patriots fan. You know what you're doing. You knew there was going to be some backlash to this. And that's why I say a lot of times, a lot of people should stay, especially athletes, you should stay off social media. It does you no good, in a lot of ways. Why would you bring that firepower back on you unnecessarily? This was all calculated. This wasn't an accident. For whatever the case may be, he drew unwanted attention to himself. Now, once training camp starts, it'll all subside. Once the season starts and AJ goes out and does AJ things like he's done the last couple of years, nobody will remember what happened back in March. Nobody.
Okay. Doubling back to the draft, as for the final question. The Eagles have, and let's make sure we got this right here, they have the 22nd overall pick in the first round. They had the 50th overall pick in the second, and they had the 53rd overall pick in the second. They have 3 picks, top 53. Give me your perspective on how they spend them. And what I mean by that is, do you think they go defense across the board? Defense? Do you think they sprinkle in maybe an offensive lineman there? Just tell me how you think they approach those first 3 picks.
I think 2 of the picks will be defense and 1 will be offense. And I'm leaning towards offensive linemen. People might say, yeah, but if you wait until the second round to get an offensive lineman, you might be getting the 10th or 12th best, tackle out there in the draft. Hey, I'm bringing the 10th, 12th best tackle in the draft into Stoutland University. Didn't they take a 7th round pick and name Jordan Mailata and make him into a rock solid left tackle in the National Football League?
On his 3rd contract, by the way. Made it to his 3rd.
Contract. Okay.
Cold-blooded.
See what I'm saying? So I expect an offensive lineman to be taken somewhere in the mix. I'm not in any way, shape, or form concerned about the Eagles taking an offensive lineman with one of their first 3 picks. I just think the first pick should be a player that can contribute right now on the defensive side of the football, because they still have a lot of question marks about their defense. Plain and simple.
D-Gun, as always, my friend, it's always a blessing, always an honor to kick it with you, my friend. Please, anything that you're working on, anything that you want to plug, please make it known here at Chalk It Up Sports. I want this to be a soft place where you can land. I definitely want to bring you back on again. This is actually your 2nd time on my platform. But again, I want you to always know this is a home for you. And so please plug anything that you're working on, anything that you want the people to know about, any kind of content, any projects. Please let the people know what's going on in the world of D-Gun.
Hey man, this is the 2nd time I've been on, but where's my gift card? What happened to the parting gifts, man?
Hey, listen, we are an independent operation here, and unfortunately, we are not at a level where we're able to compensate our guests. This is strictly for the love and the passion of the game.
Can a brother get a box of buttered popcorn? Something?
Oh, man.
No, man. I do it out of love for you, Tony. Anytime I can help you out, my brother. Anytime I can help you, I'm here for you, man. Always.
For sure. And I know you guys, Eagles fans, you asked and you received. My man, Derrick Gunn, my friend. I'll talk to you soon. Stay blessed. Right, and we'll talk, man. That's draft night, man.
Absolutely.
We're here. We'll talk soon, my guy.
Showtime, baby.
All right. You guys, D-Gun. What a pleasure to talk with the legend himself. I mean, I said it earlier. He's put in so much work when it comes to the media, when it comes to the sports industry. He's really and truly started from the bottom, getting it done in the 80s, and has been paramount to Philadelphia Eagles media. And it's super humbling to be able to have a guy like that on speed dial. I don't take those connections for granted. And I'm so glad that you guys were able to lock in with me, because it's fun. It's fun, man. And I'm blessed. I'm blessed. And you know what I always say when the guests leave, right? You guys know what I say. Talk to me nice. Talk to me nice. You ask and you receive, and I'm gonna keep shooting and shooting and shooting. You dig me? You know, so I want to make sure that I'm as transparent with you guys as I possibly can be. The goal was to have a second guest. That was the goal, right? The goal was D-Gun, and then the next guy was going to be my man, Barrett Brooks. But unfortunately, he had some things come up. Something unforeseen, something that none of us could have predicted. But B Brooks is my guy, and I got him on speed dial as well. He literally was calling me throughout the live stream. He shot me a text, had some things come up, at the NBC Sports studios. So unfortunately, Barrett likely won't be able to make it to this show. And I apologize, you guys. But Barrett will be on the platform. Don't get it twisted. Barrett will be on the platform, but it may not be today because some unfortunate things happened at the NBC Sports studios. But I'm sending my love, sending my prayers, sending my good wish, my well wishes, my good fortune to the NBC Sports Philadelphia family. But once again, my guy Barrett Brooks was supposed to make an appearance, but some things came up. But it's all good though. Don't you guys worry. We're going to keep feeding you and feeding you and feeding you. So we've been live for about an hour and some change. I'm thinking before we get out of here, I'm thinking we do a mock draft, our final mock draft. That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about we do a final mock draft to see where the chips fall 24 hours before the NFL draft. I think I like those odds. I think I like that. So let's get that set up here. Let's get that set up. All right. Here we go. As a reminder, your Philadelphia Eagles are sitting at the 22 spot in the NFL draft. So let's have some fun. Let's get the ball rolling. Because tomorrow is day one, we're going to just focus on the first round of the draft. Or do you guys want to do a 7-round mock draft? You guys tell me, how do you guys want to approach this? Do you guys want a single round mock draft because day one is only the single round? Or do you guys want to do a full round mock draft? Hold on. Hold on. Time's out. I might be able to pivot. We might be able to pivot. Hold on. We might got action. Hold on, you guys. Time's out. Like I said, my man Barrett Brooks is likely not going to be able to make it, but I may be able to get you somebody that you guys know and love. Hold on. Stand by. I'm producing and speaking and entertaining on the fly. Stay locked in, you guys. Hold on. This thing's getting good here. Hold on. Give me a second, you guys. Roll with me. Here we go. All right, let's see. Let's see if we can make this happen. You guys know this man. No, you guys, no, it's not. No, it's not. No, it's not who you guys are saying. Right? No, it's not Sills. It's not. But this is a guy, again, that you guys know and love. His channel is pretty dope as well. As a matter of fact, let me make sure I got that ready to come up on the screen too, because I want to make sure my man get his just due. I want to make sure my brother gets his just due. Hold on one second. All right, you guys, just stay patient. I'm working some things out here. My apologies. You guys are locked in to Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game. Jay Rizzo said, Mike Quick. No, not Mike Quick. I'm working on that though. I'm working on that. Check O with the $1.99 donation. He says, watching on my phone and TV, trying to help you out, brother. Hey, man, that's fire. That's fire. That's fire. I love it. I love it, man. Thank you, Check. I really appreciate that kind of support. That's fire. That's dope. Nope. None of you guys have said the person yet. Nope, not Jody, not LB, not Ike Reese, not Philly Mike. You guys are bringing us some good names, though. Not Tank. You guys are bringing us some good names. No, not Bill. Not Bill. Not Bill. Okay. Here we go. All right. So like I said, man, this is a good brother. A brother that puts in a lot of work. Shout out to my man, Paul Fedor with the $2 super. He says, great interview so far. Paul, listen, I do it for you. I do it because I love you. I do it for you guys. So again, thank you, Paul Fedor, for the $2 donation, my friend. I do not take it for granted. I appreciate it. So without further ado, I'm going to bring up this very illustrious guest. In my opinion, one of the best up-and-coming voices in the game. I consider him a colleague, a peer, someone that I can shoot the crap with, somebody that I can bounce ideas off of. Spent time in the NFL as a running back, so he knows how this thing goes. He's a Philadelphia Eagle alumni. The man, the myth, the legend. You guys know him as PFT. Some of y'all know him as Coach Marcus.
What's going on?
My brother. How are you feeling? Talk to me nice. Tell me something good. Tell me that you love me.
I'm good, man. It's all love, brother. Always all love, man. We one day away from the draft, getting it in. The NFL is the gift that keeps on giving. And I'm all here for it, man. I'm all here for it. It took me a minute. I had to change my background. I had WNBA stuff going on. And I was like, hold on. I got to represent, right? You know?
No, I like what you're doing though. I like what you're doing with the WNBA. You've been covering it a lot more lately, and I think that's so dope because I think that league is going to blow up bigger than it ever has. Yeah, so I love what you're doing, man. Caitlin Clark is taking the league by storm, and regardless of how some people may feel, she's good. She's good for the game. She's great for that league.
She's good for business, man, and that's what it's all about, man. And the biggest thing, and nobody's really talking about it because of Caitlin Clark overshadowing all of the news. Their commissioner, Kathy Engelbert, the girl got a plan. She is anticipating the impact that Caitlin Clark is going to have, and she is getting everything ready. So when they re-up their CBA in 2025, all of these complaints that the women have been having about not getting paid and all of that kind of stuff, now they got a legitimate chance because this girl's they're the Las Vegas Aces and the Mystics, the DC Mystics, they have already changed their venue. They had to change from where they normally play to go to a different venue, a bigger venue when Indiana comes to town. Obviously, because they had such an influx, the big demand for the tickets, they didn't have enough, so they went bigger. And if you are going bigger, you got to be able to fill it up if you still want to get paid. Absolutely. So all of this stuff, man, the Fever, they already cut a deal. They're going to show like 36 of their games, 36 out of 40 something games this year. So my thing is, and I say this kind of in jest, but it's serious. Like Kathy Engelbert and the WNBA, their biggest secret weapon is me. And what I mean by that is, 2 years ago, I wouldn't give a damn about the WNBA. I could care less. And I got somebody that I have a personal stake in their success. Girl, Kelsey Mitchell, who was number 3 on the all-time scoring list in NCAA history for the women. Kelsey Mitchell plays for the Fever. I played football in college with her father. He's one of my frat brothers. I know him well. Wow. So I had a personal interest. She went to my high school, that whole thing. So I paid attention because of her. And that's as far as it went. But as the for so many people that really didn't care about the WNBA, Caitlin Clark is having the Tiger Woods effect. She might not be as good as Tiger Woods was, but the visibility, when Tiger Woods came on the scene, people were watching golf who before then didn't give a care about golf. Caitlin Clark is in the same boat. There are people actively watching women's basketball who a year and a half ago didn't give a dang about it. And now, and I'm somebody, because I watched the NCAA tournament, because I watched Dawn Staley get bounced last year, then come back and win it this year. We invested in all of that. Like the fact, I'll put it to you like this. Caitlin Clark, Aaliyah Edwards, Juju Watkins, Camila Cardoso, Lauren Betts.
love Juju. I love Juju. And you guys, we're going to get back to football.
Yeah.
Trust me. We're going to get back to football. But
Asia James.
I love Juju. I want her jersey.
Yeah, Asia James. Hannah Hidalgo from Haddonfield, New Jersey. The freshman sensation for Notre Dame. Audi Crooks. The fact that I can name all of those players when I couldn't do that a year ago, I had no clue who they were.
That tells you everything you need to know.
Tells you everything you need to know. So I made a decision. Yes, I'm going to buy merch. Yes, I'm going to watch the games. I'm going to spend the $40 and get the season pass or whatever so I can catch most of the games. It's $40. I would waste it somewhere else anyways. And for all of them people that are mad because Asia Wilson don't have a signature shoe, but Caitlin Clark has a signature shoe, that ain't Caitlin Clark's fault. So all that energy you putting into the hate aspect of it, I'm assuming that's going to turn around for support, and you're going to start buying Aces merch and all of that kind of stuff. Put that energy in the right place, because everybody just wants to talk about it.
Yeah, it's all going to come full circle at the end of the day. It's all going to come full circle. Everybody going to get there, and then we're going to see the first $1 million salary contract in the WNBA. It's all coming at the end of the day.
It's on its way, but they got to take the one thing. This is when I knew the commissioner. She knew what she was talking about, and she had a legitimate plan for the future. She said on Bloomberg, she said, "This is our Magic Bird moment."
Ooh.
And if you go back, for those of you all who are old enough, when Magic and Bird played in the NCAA championship in '79, the NBA was not in a good place. The games were being played on tape delay. All of that. When Magic and Bird happened, that's when everything popped off. And then 4 years after Magic and Bird, Michael Jordan was introduced. ESPN took off. So it all happened in succession, man. Now NBA took them long enough, but they got their moment, and they gotta take care of business.
Facts.
So
yeah, for sure. Pivoting back to football, man. This is a big week, as you already know. We're 24 hours away from the NFL draft that's going to be hosted in Detroit, and I think it's so dope that Detroit has kind of made a resurgence just in NFL circles. I mean, their team made it to the NFC Championship. They should have won it, but that's a different conversation. Made it to the NFC Championship. They have legitimate talent all across the board on offense and defense. They just made Amon-Ra St. Brown the highest paid receiver.
Ooh, you know, I ain't mad at him.
I ain't mad at it either. I mean, I looked at it, I was like, ooh. Okay.
Yeah,
I looked at it and I was like, oh, okay. I'm glad Devontae slided down the line fast. Yeah, and man. Then they just made Penny Sewell the highest paid offensive lineman, and they're still working out the Jared Goff details, so on and so forth. But regardless of all that, the draft is here. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are locked and loaded. I think they know exactly what they want to do, but I don't want to load the deck on you. I want to know, what's your overall perspective about the Philadelphia Eagles and their standing in the NFL draft? There are rumors that they may move up to get their man. There's rumors that they may stay pat. We've heard so many rumors and different mock drafts about who they're going to take. I want to know, where do you think their eyes are when it comes to the NFL draft, or how they're going to make their play?
At the end of the day, first off, we're all guessing. Nobody knows anything. I was listening to D Gunn, and he made some good points, but I think right now the Eagles are in a very good spot. If they move up, they get who they want to get, because you're only moving up for a specific person. If they stand pat, and I'm saying this, I'll preface this by saying most of this is just from what I'm hearing, doing mock drafts, all of the same stuff that all you listeners are doing, the same stuff, right? Who's available? who's the best that's available, and what do we need? You got to intertwine those three things and figure out what your best option is. If it was up to me and we stayed at 22, Cooper Dejean is my pick, because you can still get a very, very good offensive tackle down at 50. And you can still get a very, very good linebacker at 53. If we pull an offensive tackle at 22, we can still get a good cornerback / safety at 50. So my thing is defense, offense, linebacker, cornerback, offensive tackle, linebacker. And then when you get the later picks, when you get the 160 and 170 and all of that, then you might pull a offensive guard that somebody's forgot about. Not to mention, as it happens in every draft, somebody's going to drop, somebody's going to get forgotten for whatever reason, and Howie Roseman might get a steal in there somewhere, much like we got with Keely Ringo, like with Nolan Smith. So you never know what's going to happen. I just think we are in a very good position, because regardless of what we do, whether we move up, whether we stand pat, I think we are in a great position to get quality, elite level players at every position we want.
Wow. I think, here's my thought, right? I think the Eagles are ready and willing to move up in the draft if their man is available. I think they want to go corner in their first round. I think that's their top priority. I think they want to go corner. They're looking at James Bradbury. The wheels are quite literally off the truck. Yeah. They're looking at Darius Slay. Man, the tread on those tires. You know how when you go to a tire place, they say, are you in the green, the yellow, and the red? You're kind of getting close to the red zone.
Yeah.
So I think they're going corner in the first round, but that's only if they can get up and get the guy they want. I don't think, because I know you said if they're at 22, you would go Cooper Dejean. I don't know if they feel comfortable staying at 22 and getting the corner. I think if they stay at 22, they're likely going to go O-lineman. But if they do get the opportunity to jump up in the draft, right? I think it's either going to be Quinion Mitchell or Terrion Arnold. When you hear that, what's your thoughts?
Quinion Mitchell, I like him. I'm trying to see Arnold. What's Arnold's specs? I know I've seen it before.
I got it right here in front of me.
Right. So that's what I was thinking. To me, obviously his level of play is up there, or he wouldn't be a top 15 pick. Right. So I can excuse my bias for the size. Because right now, after everything I saw last year, what I do not want is somebody like Nate Wiggins size, 6'1", 180 or something like that. I do not want cornerbacks that are going to be coming up making business decisions. I need somebody that's physical. Quinion Mitchell, he's got enough weight on him.
Yeah, Terrion Arnold, same thing. They're both in the 185, 189 range. So,
yeah.
Terrion Arnold, he's 6 feet, 189.
6 feet. Right. Quinion is about the same, like 6 foot, like 195 or something like that.
Yeah. Quinion is like 185, something like that. They're both pretty much in the same class, but Quinion, I mean, they're saying he's a physical freak, though. Not only does he have the size that you want, but he has the speed and the strength.
Yes.
I mean, the dude was one of the best corners in terms of the bench press, the 40-yard dash. He has the power and the strength to get physical at the line of scrimmage, but he also has that makeup speed. And I think that's something that's necessary at corner, right? You're going to make mistakes. You're going to guess,
Absolutely.
but you need makeup speed.
Absolutely. But that's just my bias. If I want somebody playing cornerback, and I'm basing that specifically on the mess that we saw last year. I know that Bradbury is probably on his way out, or if we do move up, maybe how we could package that in part of a deal for a trade. Who knows? We're going to find out tomorrow. So I think if we do move up, I think it is going to be for Quinion Mitchell. I think if he's not available, we're going to stay at 22. I think they're moving up.
So you think it's Quinion Mitchell or bust? You think it's Quinion Mitchell or nothing?
Correct.
Okay. Let me ask you this now, right? There's rumors circulating. There's been for quite some time, but I want to get your perspective on this, right? Staying in the cornerback market, Patrick Surtain. Now here's the context, right? Patrick Surtain, he's entering the 4th year of his rookie deal.
Yes.
Next year, a team's going to have to decide, or the Broncos will have to decide if they're going to pick up his fifth-year option. If they pick it up, they're going to owe him $19.8 million, fully guaranteed. Now here's the caveat here. When it comes to Patrick Surtain's contract and the Broncos' money situation, they're on the hook when it comes to Russell Wilson's contract, and they're trying to get back on track.
I laugh every time somebody say that.
Seriously,
they get what they get. They deserve it.
Exactly. They're not in the most financially stable situation.
Correct.
So I don't see a scenario where they see themselves even picking up his fifth-year option and then extending him on top of that. I don't see that they even see that as an option. So that could potentially make him trade bait on draft night. Do you think there's a chance, a reasonable opportunity for the Philadelphia Eagles to potentially trade for Patrick Surtain, maybe package that 22nd overall pick, and you get your man?
Yes, I think that is a definite possibility. We've been talking about the cornerbacks, to your point, all the stuff in the news, and there goes that guy named Sources again, spreading stuff. But we still are looking at that position because we were in tatters last year. So I can see that happening. I would love to have PS2 up in here. And if that's a trade, you're talking about getting somebody in here that is a known quantity. You know, he is a elite level player. He's what, 24 years old?
Yep, 24 years old.
So could I see, them restructuring his contract, but giving him that big signing bonus? I could definitely see that happen. On top of, we all know that the salary cap is probably going to go up again next year. So you still have a little bit of room to play with. And I think that's why a lot of the moves that Howie's making right now are masterful, because 3 and 4 years down the line, we're going to be nodding our heads like, yep, he did it again. He did it again. So I would love to see PS2 come here, because now you're not talking about an if he has a good camp. Can he translate to the next level? I know he played well at, Alabama, but
and also I don't think the Broncos have leverage either, by the way. I don't think the Broncos have leverage.
They got to come off that cash. They got to come off that cash. So they are going to be looking to make deals. And if they find a deal that is even remotely in their favor, where they can come off of some of that money, they're most likely going to do it. And if they don't, well, then I'm going to lump them in the same category as them goofballs down in Dallas. You got to be smart. I don't care how much money you have. You still got to be smart about your business.
Let me ask you this, right? Because we haven't really had the opportunity to really chat post Hassan Reddick trade. You have some people who say they need to go edge in that first round. They need to go up and get a guy like that, right? I want to get your perspective on how the Philadelphia Eagles handled the Hassan Reddick situation. Do you think it was par for the course? Do you think they mishandled it? Do you think things could have ended up differently? Just give me your synopsis about how the Philadelphia Eagles handled that situation and how he ended up in New York with the Jets.
I understand why they did it. I don't like it, but I understand. And I always say this all the time: friends are friends and business is business. Don't confuse the two. My thing was, keep your homeboys at home. You had from this area, from Camden, played at Temple, and balled out every chance he got. The last 4 years, you have a known quantity. It is not an X factor. It's not an unknown. Let's say he goes down a little bit. So what does that mean? Does he go from 12 sacks to only 8? How many people wish they could get 8 sacks in the season? So even if his production dropped a little bit, it's still better than more than half of the league. So from that standpoint, I wish they would have found a way to keep him. But I understand if you're looking at the business, which Howie's staying consistent. If you're looking at the business, that was probably a smart move. Do I think he's going to play 60-something% of the plays next year? Probably not. Because do the New York Jets want to pay him that much money?
Ooh, good point. Because I've been asking around. I'm like, why do you guys think it's taking so long for the Jets to extend him or pay him?
Exactly.
Because,
they got
because as of right now, the Philadelphia Eagles, from a money perspective, right, from the contract perspective, they're not looking too crazy. Maybe from the production standpoint, right? You know, you traded a player that was very productive for you, but the Jets still haven't even extended him, and we're coming up on the draft, and they traded for him like 2-3 weeks ago. The Eagles, from the money side of things, they're not looking too bad right now.
Well, and also remember, maybe, and I don't know, I'm guessing just from what I've seen, maybe that other shoe has started to drop for the Jets because they just unloaded your boy down in Denver. Zach Wilson.
Yes,
so
they did.
So maybe they're maneuvering money around, and maybe they are going to offer him something. Maybe soon after the draft. Usually, I would think that you would want to get that stuff done before the draft, so you know exactly what you got to deal with when you sign in these rookies, because their agents know, and they don't want to have to go through the holdout game and all of that kind of stuff that exists now. So maybe by getting rid of Zach Wilson, maybe they're able to do some things.
Okay, let me ask you from this side of things, right? As far as the compensation they got back for him, they got back a third rounder in 2026 that could turn into a second rounder, right? Here's my thought process on this, and I want to know if you agree, disagree. Let me just lay it out for you. They traded Hassan Reddick for the third pick that could be a second. That's not going to take effect until 2 years down the line. When I saw that initially, I said to myself, what? We can't even reap the benefits of that trade this year. What's going on? Not even in the next draft. What's going on? What is Howie thinking? That's the only pick you got in return? But then I said to myself, hold on. Is Howie Roseman playing the long game? Is he trying to exercise some level of foresight? It's risky, but is he trying to exercise some foresight? Is Howie Roseman saying in so many words that in 2 years' time, he expects the New York Jets to be trash? He expects that pick to not only be a second rounder, but he expects it to be a high second rounder. When you hear that, what do you think?
I do think he's playing a long game, but I think he's looking at the stats and the overall averages of what happens to players past 30 years old. That's the long game. Do I think he's going to play? Because here's my thing. If he plays over the 62.1% or whatever that goofy number was.
Right. It's like 61.5%. It's weird.
Yeah. If he beats that number, I'm like, well, shoot, he could have did that for us.
He was averaging over 80% of the snaps in Philly.
Exactly. If he doesn't, then Howie was right. But either way, we win if you keep him. You know what I mean? So, but if he doesn't, is it because they just don't have him in the scheme at a particular time? Is he on the field for 2 downs every 4? He's not in on third downs or obvious run situations. I don't know how that's going to play out because I don't know what their coaching staff is going to do up there. So that plays a lot into it. He hasn't really been hurt during the season. He's been pretty durable, with the exception of, he came in with the thumb injury, but he still played with it. So just on that logic and just looking at the track record, I think Howie did play the long game, to your point, and he thinks, okay, if I'm wrong and he was worth the money, we get a good pick from it. If he doesn't, by the time we get that money, I'm not worried about it anyway. You know what I'm saying? Somebody borrows $100 from you and say, I'm gonna pay it back as soon as I can. You hear from 2 years later, I don't forget about that $100.
I'd have made that 10 times over.
Exactly, man. So it's I think he played where I'm playing emotion and making it personal and the bias of him being from here. And I just like the way he went about his business.
Yeah, I love the way he carried himself, the press conferences, the work,
he was a
the
no-nonsense dude.
The motor. I loved it. I wanted him here.
Man, if you look up in the dictionary, bring your lunch pail to work, there would be a picture of Hassan Reddick.
And he was a closer. The motor was still running hot in the fourth quarters.
Absolutely. So for that reason, just by itself, that's like you got a bird in the hand. I don't want to see what Huff is going to do. Huff looks like he's going to be a great player, but I know Hassan Reddick has been a great player for 4 years running in 3 different teams.
How does it go?
So,
a bird in the hand is better than a bird in the bush, right?
A bird in the hand beats 2 in the bush. and we had one in the hand. That's why I was like, keep him, figure out a way to keep him. And Howie operates on business, which they both went out to the market. Josh Sweat found out what he was worth and what he wasn't. Hassan Reddick, his situation was a little bit different. He was worth a little bit more. I just don't think the number that he wanted, Howie was willing to pony up.
What do you think those numbers were?
Say again?
What do you think those numbers were? Like, what do you think he wanted, and what do you think the Eagles were willing to weren't willing to move off of?
I think the Eagles wanted to give him somewhere around 20.
Okay.
And I think he wanted anywhere between 22 to 24.
I think that's about right.
Yeah. So, and I just think Howie was just, and I got to give credit to Howie because he does think about the long game. And it does come back to benefit us in the long run. He's been getting them hits lately, man. Since the Super Bowl or since 2016, he's been doing things different, and it has been paying dividends. So you got to give him the benefit of the doubt. No, I do not like the fact that we got rid of Hassan Reddick, but I understand that was a business move. And when it comes to that aspect of it, man, Howie's got to be batting about 450, 475 right now, man. He's hitting the ball. So I gotta step back. I gotta fall back and say, do your work. This is what you get paid to do. And the last couple years, you've been doing it better than almost anybody in the NFL.
I think that's the most interesting thing about Howie Roseman as a GM. He is not afraid to swing.
Nope.
He doesn't care if it's a fastball, a curveball, a sinker. He doesn't care if it's the age-old Ephus pitch. He does not care. He is going to swing. I made this joke, right? I consider Howie Roseman to be the Bryce Harper of GMs.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what pitch it is. Like I said, fastball, curveball, changeup. He's swinging at that first pitch. He's swinging.
Yeah, man.
It don't matter what it is. But speaking of birds in hand versus birds in the bush, because there was a bird in the bush that we wasn't sure we was going to get him, but now we have him in hand. Isaiah Rodgers, cornerback, formerly for the Colts, known as being one of the better return guys in the league, was coming up at the corner position. A lot of people felt like he's a slot, but in reality, he's really the outside guy. He really played a lot of outside. But I want to get your perspective on what Isaiah Rodgers brings to the table and how does his return impact the Philadelphia Eagles draft plans, if it does at all.
You know what? I'm putting him in the same category like Devin White. You got a proven quantity, a proven commodity that has shown that they could play at a high level. He played good snaps for Indianapolis. He's fast. He can be a return guy. And he's got a nose for the ball and likes to make plays. And he's got it now. He has a chip on his shoulder because now he's going to be trying to erase the whole year he was suspended. And he's got to make people think that he hasn't lost a step or he been, slacking off. Everything that goes into that. He's coming into camp like, I'm going to show you y'all have missed me. And that's what you want. You want somebody with that attitude. And that's a good place to be. So I like him. I like it somebody that has started in the league. Again, you got somebody that's got experience. Always the whole experience, non-experience. I look at somebody like Reed Blankenship last year. Everybody was worried about Reed Blankenship. Now they're not so worried because he's got a season's worth of snaps now, as opposed to the year before. He was filling in.
Yeah, he had about half a season worth. Yeah, about a half a season worth that first year. Yeah.
Right. You already know this guy's got quality minutes. He's got quality snaps. You know what I mean? You can go back and look at Indianapolis that year and actually see what he did and judge for yourself. It's not a if. You've seen it. He can play. Now he's got his opportunity back. And man, and let me tell you something. Don't underestimate how much missing an entire season will bother somebody. It'll mess you up.
Expand on that.
Talk to somebody that ever got somebody that got cut. I saw your conversation with Seth. Seth got cut and then they brought him back. From that time when you are cut and when they bring you back, man, it's a million things that'll go through your head. So the fact that you are suspended for a whole season And you got to deal with that everywhere you go. Ain't that the dude that? Oh. So, and then people have preconceived notions, and the only thing you want to do is get back to your happy place, which is on the field balling. And once you finally get back there, you don't have to wait no more. You gonna show and prove this is where I belong. I'm gonna make you forget all of that other nonsense that I was involved in. We got that dude. We got two of them.
Ooh,
we got two of them.
I like that.
That's why if you remember last time we spoke, I told you it is my opinion that our defense as it exists right now is better than what we had last year. And that is why we got players coming back. We got Avonte Maddox coming back. I know he's been injury prone, but do you think he's got a chip on the shoulder?
He does.
Absolutely.
He does. But I also think he's competing with a guy like Tyler Hall, another guy they brought in.
Hey, iron sharpens iron. CJ Gardner-Johnson is going to be looking to make himself known. He is going to be looking to show out. So we got that attitude. I think that's what's going to happen. And that was our detriment last season. Our secondary is going to be our strength this year.
Wow, really? You know, it's funny because, you know, you got these new coaches coming in. Vic Fangio. You got Clint Hurt on the D line. You got new DB coaches all across the board. I mean, I'm so curious to know what the player development is going to look like under Vic Fangio's tutelage, because you have so many guys that we're still looking to see the next step from, right? Kelly Ringo, Eli Ricks, Josh Jobe, Mario Goodrich, Zach McPherson, guys like that. We talk about the Philadelphia Eagles drafting a corner in the first round, yet you think about all these bodies they do have in the room. I'm curious to know what you believe the ceiling is for guys like that in a Vic Fangio system.
Well, it's hard to say until you see him play.
Good point.
But woulda, coulda, shoulda don't do nothing but rhyme, right? So last year, well, we should have did this, but then they mixed up the coaches and they should have let Sean Desai stay. And I wouldn't have brought in Matt Patricia, and maybe Sirianni should have did this. All of that stuff is out the door. And all I know is that Vic Fangio has a track record. And you can go back and look at all of the players and all of the coaches that come from underneath him and the things that he has done with him. And I say it again, just with Vic Fangio calling the shots on our defense, that immediately moves our defense from the bottom of the barrel to at least average. And then once we're average, that's when you see, okay, let me see what you're going to do, Keely Ringo. Eli Ricks, you up? Or are you going to take another step up? Sidney Brown, are you back yet? N'Kobe Dean, is your ankle feel better? What you going to do? Because now you got that dog on the other side of you that's going to push you and show you what it really means to wear that green dot. So, so now you got all of this, and now there is no misunderstanding on who is running the show. That's the thing that's key. I've been a part of a fractured locker room when the head coach got fired and all. I've been a part of that, and to not be on the same page, you can talk all that stuff about being professional and stuff like that, but coaching matters. And I can just imagine everything that we've heard from the Eagles defense about what happened last year. Imagine all the stuff that we don't know. Imagine all of the conversations and all of the strife and the chaos that was going on, all of that stuff that we don't know. Now, all of that's out of the window because we have one voice, and that makes a difference. And that voice has a track record. He's got some experience. He's got some cachet with him, and I think that is going to matter. So somebody like Vic Fangio, in my opinion, is going to make up just a little bit for missing Fletcher Cox, for missing Hassan Reddick. Because he's been in the situations before. He's made a lot with a lot less in his past. So now, just like on offense, we got primetime players, we got good coaches, you got the exact recipe that you want. So I'm like, all right, kitchen is yours, make it happen. And I think Vic Fangio is going to do that, man. You got one voice on offense, one voice on defense, and you got your CEO coach that everybody hates. You got the CEO coach running it all. I'm like, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah,
I love to see it.
One thing I do like is a clear separation of powers. That's one thing I do respect and I appreciate it. You know, where nothing's confused. Final question, Marcus, before I get you out of here, my man. I appreciate you coming up in the clutch, you know, showing mad love, man. You didn't have to do that, but you came in and you saved me, my friend. And I appreciate you for being the man that you are.
It's been some Hall of Fame careers that started out as backup players. Don't get it twisted, bro.
Hey,
don't get it twisted. If I got to come off the bench, I will come off the bench. But every time you give me the rock, you are going to remember me.
I love it. I love it. I love it, man. Final question, man. And this is more so on the lighter side, or maybe not, but we'll see where it goes.
Hit me with it.
I'm just gonna come right with it. What's your thoughts on the NFL banning this newly coined hip drop tackle? Give me your perspective on it, and then we'll flush it out from there.
Funny you should ask that question. I was just in an NFLPA meeting with Troy Vincent, and he talked about that at length. And it was surprising. It was surprising to hear what he said coming from a defensive player, a physical defensive player. I don't like the hip drop tackle. The
banning of it, or the actual act of the tackle?
Both. Well, let me say it like this. I understand the banning of it. I really do. I don't really have a problem with the banning of it. Let me say it like that. I don't have a problem with it because I don't remember ever, as a running back, ever getting tackled like that when I played in the.
Help me understand, because I guess, you know, again, I never played the game. I'm simply an enthusiast and a spectator. What are the defenders doing differently with this hip drop tackle that, like you said, you haven't seen before?
Here's the difference. So if I'm running the ball and somebody catches me from the back or from the side, normally they would either dive at my hip, wrap me up on the hips, and just kind of drag me down one way or the other, side to side. If they're coming from the side, usually they coming in low, trying to, you know, either spear me in the hip, but basically their momentum is going to knock me that way. What the hip drop tackle does is they get you, and mind you, all of this happens in a split second. They get you around your hips, but me as the ball carrier, my momentum is still going forward, and it whips them around. And just by sheer muscle memory, they figured out how to get their legs and trap my legs as I'm trying to run. And then all of the weight comes down on the ankles and the knees. That's the problem. Because when all of that force is coming down on your ankles and knees, something has to give. And more times than not, it's either getting a high ankle sprain, or you're twisting a knee, or worst case scenario, you're tearing an ACL, MCL, something like that. And it happens a lot.
We've never heard of this before, though. I mean, the actual, again, it being coined hip drop tackle, we've never heard of this before. I'm trying to figure out why all of a sudden this is a thing, or how did this become the standard in the league prior to it being banned? Again, I'm trying to follow the breadcrumbs here.
Because you're just trying to, I saw it I remember the first time I noticed it, and I was like, wow, it's one of those things where you do it once, and if you do it once, your muscle memory kicks in, and like, that is the most efficient way to bring somebody down. And the first time I saw it, I was like, they look like they're trying to take down a steer, like at the rodeo or something. And that's exactly what they do. They get on those steers. When they're doing it in the rodeo, they yank the neck, and then they take the legs. Now you can't touch the neck, so they whip around your hip, and you drop that weight on the back of your legs. So just imagine if I'm walking behind you and you are walking quickly, you got a brisk pace, right? If I want to trip you up, I can do one of two things. I can try to time it up and kick one of your legs out from under you. That's tripping you up. Or what happens if I basically just do a WWE RTO on the back of your legs? I'm either going to get your ankle or I'm going to get your knee. Something's going to give. Because I'm still trying to go that way. And I'm not seeing what's going on behind me. But just think Just take a freeze frame of somebody running and they are in mid stride,
Okay.
and you got that knee up and that back leg is extended, and you got somebody driving all their force on that back leg. And depending on how you're positioned, it is either going to come down on your knee or on your ankle. The only way the injuries don't happen is if a player manages to get that back leg up where it doesn't get trapped. And they still get tripped up. But there are too many instances where they don't do that, and you got major, major injuries.
Well, let me ask you this, because you are a former running back. How
I
biased?
lost you.
Oh, you lost me? You got me?
I lost your sound.
Uh-oh, hold on. Let me drop you up and bring you back. All right, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kick you, then come right back to the live stream. Let's do it that way. But yeah, here's the thing about the hip jump tackle, right? Because I gotta ask Marcus this. I gotta ask him because he is a former running back. He's a former running back. So I need to know just how biased his perspective is. Again, he's a former ball carrier, played offense for the Philadelphia Eagles at one point. I need to know where exactly that perspective is rooted in. Because for me, I feel like they're just making it significantly harder for these defensive players to do their jobs. That's honestly what I think. I think they're making it harder and harder and harder. I think the defensive players are honestly doing the best they can. They already can't touch these guys to begin with. And now they're banning another version of a tackle. I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence on it. It's like I do understand what Marcus is saying, but at the same time, I say to myself, well, what other options do they have when you got a guy like Christian McCaffrey or Derrick Henry or Saquon Barkley or Josh Jacobs? What do you do when you're going up against behemoths like that? Like, what do you do? I ask myself that question. How difficult of a job are they making it for these defensive players? And I've said this before. I honestly think we're trending somewhere with this. I think because the NFL was making it much harder for these defensive players to do their jobs, I wouldn't be surprised if GMs start having conversations with ownership and saying, look, the rules are making it hard for defensive players to be dominant. Why are we investing as much money as we are on that side of the ball anyway? Why not we divest some money from the defensive side and put more of it on the offensive side? And that can lead to more teams being able to afford 2 wide receivers making north of $20 million, right? Because what the Philadelphia Eagles are doing right now is an anomaly. I think the Eagles and the Bears are the only 2 teams in the NFL that are paying 2 wide receivers respectively $20 million or more. The Bears are paying DJ Moore north of $20 million, and Keenan Allen got traded to the Bears, and they're paying him, I believe, $20 to $22 million a season. So I think the Eagles and the Bears are the only 2 teams in the NFL. AJ Brown and Devontae Smith both are making a $25 million salary on average. If you incorporate Devontae Smith's 5th-year option, that $25 million salary drops to 22.5, 22.6 million per season. It all depends how you break it down. But again, I don't think we're too far away from this. I think we're trending somewhere to a place that these teams, these organizations are going to start to reevaluate how much money they're investing on that side of the ball. I think teams are always going to invest in the D-line. I don't think that's going to stop. But maybe they invest less in linebacker or corner or safety. You never know. But I got to ask Marcus while I got him back. Again, final point I want to make with you, Marcus, about the hip drop tackle and maybe its long-term effects on where the league is going. I brought something up while you were going. Because the league is making it that much more difficult for defensive players to do their jobs, right? Because they're doing so, I think we're trending in this direction. What's stopping the NFL, or better yet, what's stopping these organizations, these GMs, these ownership groups? What's stopping them from meeting together, GM to owner, saying, hey, listen, Jeffrey Lurie, Howie Roseman here. I got a question for you. I understand that they're banning the hip drop tackle, which in turn is making it that much more difficult for our defensive guys to do their jobs. It's making it that much more difficult for defensive players to be dominant on that side of the ball.
Right.
Why don't we divest the amount of money we've been putting on the defensive side and reallocate some of those resources to the offensive side? Again, they're making it hard for our guys to do their job anyway. So why even invest as much money on that side of the ball as we're doing, or as we've been doing? Why don't we put that money on the offensive side, and therefore, in turn, it can have a trickle-down effect, and it can make it more possible for teams, in particular offenses, it can make it more possible for teams to be able to sustain 2 wide receivers on a roster making north of $20 million. Because as of right now, the Bears and the Eagles are the only 2 teams in the NFL that are paying their 2 wide receivers, respectively, $20 million or more. DJ Moore is making north of $20 million. Keenan Allen, after they traded for him, he's still making $20 million or more. A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith, respectively, are making $25 million per season. If you incorporate Devontae Smith's 5th-year option, then that $25 million a year average drops to about 22.5, 22.6. But again, back to my original point, what's stopping these teams from saying, you know what? The defenses can't play defense anyway. I'm taking money from that side of the ball and putting it on offense. What's your thoughts on that? Do you think we're trending that way?
I don't think we're trending that way. And let me be honest with you, I could actually see some owners having a conversation for that, because they still think they want to turn it into, and this is my opinion, I think they want to turn it into an offensive league. But here's the other thing. You got to be careful if you want to make things too offensive, too score explosion, because that's going to mess with the money. That's going to mess with the betting. So that's a slippery slope. I think that it is very difficult to play on defense these days. I understand why people get upset about the hip drop tackle, but like I said, when I played, the hip drop tackle didn't exist. Nobody tackled like that. And you were still a physical defense. You could still knock somebody's head off. You still had fear in some defenses. Now, again, they take the headshot out of it and all of that kind of stuff. So you've kind of got a limited window where you can put somebody on the ground. But if you kind of go back to day one football, common sense, fundamental football, put your head on one side of the body, drive through the person and make the tackle. That still remains, but it's just they don't teach that no more. That goes back to what we talked about before, what they don't do in camp anymore. They just don't practice those fundamentals anymore, in my opinion. So because of, now I do think they've gone overboard with the quarterback stuff, but this hip drop tackle, that was needed. That was needed. So, and also let me say this: they are looking. When I say they, and this is back to the conversation I had with NFLPA, they are looking for, they are trying to curtail guys getting hurt like this, because this, like, make no mistake about it, this is ending careers. So they got to go extreme with it. What I think they're going to do, like they do with all of these rules, they'll probably go ham in preseason, and then it'll even itself out. But if you can learn this, you can unlearn it. Because again, it just didn't come on. This didn't happen until maybe, I don't know, about maybe 5-6 years ago, maybe. I don't remember what year it actually started being a thing. But when you got, when you had players like James Harrison, and you had people like Aaron Donald and guys, these guys, they train and they're throwing around 200, 250 pound beanbags and stuff like that. So if you get 190, 200 pound running back, you can put them on the ground pretty easy, and you can maneuver them pretty easy. That's how they're training these days. So I think it was a necessary evil. That's I know Seth doesn't like that because that's just another rule.
Because I gotta ask you, you're a former running back, you're a former ball carrier. What's stopping somebody from saying, "Hey, Marcus, you're a little biased, man. You play on offense."
I am, but let me say it like this: after having that meeting with Troy and like listening to his perspective on it and why they're doing what they do, I understand. Because when you see, and of course they got film clips and stuff of everybody that get hurt, how they get hurt, even the same thing on offense, why they don't want you going to the defensive end, cutting crack back in the defensive end, throwing at the knees. That they don't want to do that anymore because you got situations where you ended somebody's career. So they are taking that thing into consideration because there are a lot of brothers that used to play and they're not doing well mentally, health-wise. And it's because of, and it was funny, man, he got like emotional about this. The way we used to play back in the day, some of the things that we used to do back in the day, there are a lot of guys, a lot of former players who are not doing well at all because of it. And he was like, I know I probably did some things and made some hits. And the guys that were on the bad end of that are not doing well today. And I'm not happy about it. So, and when you think of it like that, that's real, because I always look at, and I watched it again just to make sure my head wasn't playing tricks on me. I went back and watched. There's like a mini documentary about the Refrigerated Perry. I played with him. He was with the Eagles in 93 and 94. So I played with the Fridge. And then I saw what his life is like now. And I was like, yikes. That is not good at all.
So the NFL was trying to get ahead of future litigation then.
Future litigation, just not being able to not having to watch all of these players get spit out. I use that term a lot. I like to see Fletcher Cox and Jason Kelsey. I like the fact that they walked away from the game. The game didn't spit them out.
After coming off of really, really good seasons, by the way.
Absolutely.
Jason Kelsey walked away as a first-team All-Pro. You know,
Absolutely.
Fletcher Cox walked away still as the Eagles' best D tackle.
Yeah. And there's something real, man. He's become the poster child for this, and it's the way it's coming across is wrong, but I know he doesn't do himself any favors. Like, I look at the stuff that Antonio Brown does, and I'm like, dude, like, somebody got to be testing him for CTE, because
do you see what he does sometimes? Like the hashtags CTESPN. Like he is leaning in hard. He's leaning in. It's like
he's off the charts. But I will challenge anybody, man. You go look at that hit from Vontaze Burfict against that Cincinnati game, and then you go look at documented medical studies about what happens to people that have major concussions that come out of like car wrecks and stuff like that, and how they personality change and things like that happen. That dude was in a major car wreck. He got his marbles rattled.
I got to rewatch that play because,
man,
everybody Whew. Continues to coin that is the moment when Antonio Brown became a different person.
That's what I believe.
And look, I'm not even denying it. I need to see that play again because it's been a while, obviously. But overall, man,
AJ Brown's personality was more akin to Jalen Hurts before that.
Antonio Brown.
Yeah, Antonio Brown. He was more like Jalen Hurts. Now he's more like CJ Gardner-Johnson on steroids. He is off the charts, dude. Jumping in the whirlpool naked, taking off the shirt during the game and leaving, like stuff that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And when there's a video out there, somebody made a YouTube short about it, and it literally is interviews with Antonio Brown before and after that incident, and it is night and day.
Wow, I gotta check that out.
And all of that goes under the umbrella of the NFLPA and the competition committee. They are trying to engage in rules and state of play that can eliminate some of that. And from that standpoint, while I don't like a lot of it, I understand. Because you don't like it when your team is getting blitzed because you can't make a tackle, or, Brandon Graham just touches the Washington quarterback and we get a penalty and ended up losing the game. That's when you hate it. When you understand it, is when you see somebody like Antonio Brown, when you see somebody like Refrigerated Perry that can't walk. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
That's the flip side. And I always remind people that, and I got to remind myself, I played with two of the Eagles greats. I was teammates. Wes Hopkins and Andre Waters are not with us anymore because of it.
Wow, man. You know, on that note,
it gets deep,
man,
bro. It gets deep.
For sure. You know, I appreciate you once again for making yourself available to me, Marcus. You came in the clutch. You saved me. I was supposed to have you know, you saw D Gunn. I was supposed to have B Brooks on, but something came up. Something came up at the NBC Sports studios. I won't get into it, but something came up, and he said, Tone, I'm so sorry, man. Something that like I'm not gonna be able to get at these studios until about 9:30, 10 o'clock tonight.
Right.
So we're gonna have to pivot. But you came in
Big
the clutch,
B tell
man.
you he had a good reason. He had a good reason.
No, it was definitely a good reason. Definitely a good reason. But you know, me and you will talk. We'll talk.
Okay.
You know how we give it up. So we'll talk.
Sure.
But overall, my man, I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. You definitely gave me more than what I could have asked for, and you made it a fulfilling show. I'm grateful to you, my friend.
Got it, brother.
Before you get out of here, though, I will definitely want to make sure we get this thing done right. Please go check out my man, my brother PFT Pro Fan Talk. Please go subscribe to his channel, Pro Fan Talk, on YouTube. Please, you guys, while you're here, even if you got to dip out and jump back in, if you got to open up another window on the laptop or on the computer or on the phone, whatever you got to do, please go lock in on my man, Pro Fan Talk. Coach Marcus, he does an amazing job covering not only the Philadelphia Eagles, but covering the NFL landscape, the NBA landscape, the WNBA landscape, just the sports landscape in general. He's doing a hell of a job, man. He's giving you a one-stop shop for everything you need, especially when it comes to the Philadelphia Eagles. And as you guys can already tell, he comes with the heat. He comes with the fire. He comes with the insight. He has the experience. He's played the game. He's coached the game. They don't call him the coach for no reason. So make sure you guys please lock in with my man, Pro Fan Talk. Please subscribe to this brother's channel. He's doing amazing work, and the sky's only the limit. As a matter of fact, we shooting for more than just the sky. You know, we shooting for the stars. We shooting for the sun. We shooting for the Milky Way galaxy. So make sure you guys are on the right side of history, please. If you guys can do it for me, make sure you guys go subscribe to my good friend, PFT, Pro Fan Talk, also known as The Coach, Coach Marcus. Marcus, again, you know how we give it up, my friend.
You got it, brother.
I catch up with you, my man. And listen,
we family now, bro.
Whenever you need me, let me know, all right, and we'll make it happen. Okay, whenever you need me, because I think we're going to have to get together next week, at least post draft, so we can tap in and really reevaluate this stuff. Because I think the Eagles are going to shock some people on draft night.
Man, I think people are going to be like, "Damn, that damn Howie Roseman did it again."
He did it again. He did it again. Coach, I'll talk to you, my man. Be good.
You got it, brother.
Yes, sir. Wow, man, that was a hell of a show. Listen, you ask and you shall receive. You know, sometimes you may not get exactly what you want, but man, you get what you need. And as we proceed, I'm grateful to you guys for locking in on the show for as long as you guys have. I always say this, and I mean it. You guys have a ton of options. And you guys still kick it with me, right? A lot of you guys were longtime subscribers to Chalk It Up Sports. Some of you guys found me by way of Jacob Sports, right? And things didn't really end well over there. But overall, we're moving on to a much more optimal situation, right? So I'm grateful to you guys for locking in for as long as you have. Again, Tyrone Ward, my man on the Twitter side, my ex-family. You know, sometimes things don't work out, and it's okay. You know, I don't want to keep beating that dead horse, if I'm being honest with you, my friend. Although I do feel like you deserve an answer. I've addressed it. If you want to tap in as to why I'm no longer there, I do have a live stream. I do have a show. I do have an episode of the show on my YouTube channel where you can hear it completely broken down for you. So I don't want to keep going down that road, if you don't mind. But overall, you guys, we are 24 hours away, less than 24 hours away from the NFL draft. Kyle Kokorski said it best. less than 24 hours away from the NFL draft, and it's going to be electric. It's going to be exciting. I told you guys what I think is going to happen. I think the Philadelphia Eagles are going to trade up to get their man, Keon Mitchell, or Quinion Mitchell. I keep saying his name wrong. I don't know how to pronounce it, but I'm going to say Keon, because that's how the coach pronounced it. So I'm going to roll with that. I think they want their corner from Toledo. I think they want Keon Mitchell. I think that's who they want. I think that's who they're going to trade up for. If they can't get him, they're either going to stand pat at 22 and draft the offensive lineman, or they're going to package that 22 or 22nd overall pick for a guy like Patrick Surtain, and then they're going to extend Patrick Surtain the same night. And I think that's how that's going to go. So either, again, I'll run it back. The Eagles, 3 things can happen on draft night, on day 1. This is my perspective. 3 things. Number 1, they trade up for the Toledo cornerback, Keon Mitchell. If that doesn't happen, they package the 22nd overall pick to get Patrick Surtain from the Denver Broncos in the trade, and then they're going to extend him. If those 2 things can't happen, I think they stay at 22 and they draft the offensive lineman and call it an evening. But that's just my perspective, and it's the humble perspective. And I appreciate you guys for locking in for you guys. I appreciate you guys for locking in for as long as you guys did. I don't take it for granted. Once again, I want to give a shout out to S. Blunt with his super chat for investing in the channel, as he always does. My man Check O for donating to the channel, as he always does. Paul Fedor, I want to make sure we take care of you, my friend. Thank you for investing in the channel. I do not take that for granted, you guys. I always like to lead the show with gratitude, and I always like to end the show with gratitude. You guys are awesome, and we're going to have a hell of a show tomorrow. Remember, we're going to be live reacting to the draft tomorrow. So make sure you guys lock in. You do not want to miss this. I know you guys are going to have a ton of options tomorrow. I get it. I'm not even going to pretend like you're not. You guys are going to have an unimaginable amount of options tomorrow night. But I would be so grateful if you guys kick it with me. We could talk about each pick. We could react to every pick. We're going to be doing call-ins as well. The moment the Philadelphia Eagles make their pick, I'm dropping that call-in link. The moment they make their pick or they make their move, I'm dropping the call-in link. So I just want you guys to know the type of time we're going to be on tomorrow, okay? We're going to have some fun. We're going to react to everything. We're going to react to everything. But the moment the Eagles make their move, the moment they get their man, the call-in link is being dropped, and I need to hear from you guys. And it's straight like that. I'm your humble host, Tone DeShields II. I was joined by the legendary Derrick Gunn. And I was joined also by the up-and-coming sports personality, Pro Fan Talk, also known as Coach Marcus. And you guys were locked in on Talk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got to charge it to the game.